In the world we live in today, almost every aspect of our daily lives, communication, entertainment, work, education, and even relaxation, is shaped by digital technology. We stream movies with a single tap, store thousands of photos in our pockets, and send messages across the world in a fraction of a second. But behind all of these incredible conveniences lies one essential ingredient: data. Data is the invisible language of the digital universe, and understanding how it works gives us a clearer picture of how the modern world truly operates. Yet, despite its importance, most people never think about what data actually is. How do computers store information? How does a tiny device like a smartphone hold thousands of pictures, apps, and videos? And how on earth do gigantic platforms like YouTube, Netflix, and social networks manage to store, organize, and deliver unimaginable amounts of content every single day? At the heart of everything is the smallest meaningful unit of digital information, the byte. This tiny digital brick may seem insignificant on its own, but it plays the same role in the digital world that atoms play in the physical one. A single byte may not be much, but when billions or trillions of them work together, they create the systems, platforms, and technologies that define our modern lives. Understanding how data grows from a single byte to scales as massive as zettabytes and yottabytes helps us appreciate not only the evolution of technology, but also the scale of the digital world we've built. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the different units of digital storage, starting from the smallest measurement and building all the way up to the largest officially recognized unit in existence. Along the way, we'll explore how storage capacity has transformed computing, from the earliest machines that struggled to hold a few kilobytes to today's monstrous data centers that process and store amounts of information beyond what any single human mind can fully imagine. We'll uncover what each unit represents in practical terms. How many photos fit in a megabyte, how many HD movies fit in a gigabyte, and how many years of high-definition video can be packed into a petabyte. We'll look at how technology companies, scientific institutions, and global networks rely on increasingly massive units of digital measurement to keep our connected world running smoothly. Most importantly, we'll explore the deeper story that these units tell us. A story of explosive growth, accelerating innovation, and a future where data may become one of humanity's most valuable resources. Each step up in storage size represents a leap in our ability to capture memories, share ideas, study the universe, and connect with one another. And it all starts with a single byte. Before we move into that journey, let's take a breath and prepare to explore a world measured not by meters or kilograms, but by kilobytes, gigabytes, and beyond, a world where information is stored in quantities so large that they stretch the limits of human imagination. If you're ready, let's begin our journey through the expanding universe of digital storage. To fully understand the massive world of digital storage, we need to take our first step with the most fundamental building block: the byte. A byte is made up of 8 bits, and each bit is simply a 0 or a 1, a tiny electrical signal that represents off or on. With 8 of these signals combined, computers can represent a single character, such as a letter, number, or symbol. If you type the word hello, you've already used 5 bytes. It may not seem like much, but these small units form the foundation of every digital action we take. Once we step beyond the byte, we reach the kilobyte, or KB. 1 kilobyte equals 1024 bytes. In the early days of computing, this was a surprisingly large amount of space. A kilobyte could store several paragraphs of text, or a handful of simple program instructions. Early home computers often had only a few kilobytes of memory, meaning programmers had to write extremely efficient code. Classic video games, business software, and even operating systems were squeezed into unbelievably tiny storage spaces. Today, a simple smartphone notification image might easily exceed 100 KB, showing just how massive the shift in data usage has been. From kilobytes, we jump to the megabyte, or MB. 1 megabyte is 1024 kilobytes, roughly equal to 1 million bytes. In modern terms, a megabyte is still relatively small. A typical smartphone photo uses around 1 to 2 MB, while a short MP3 audio file might take 3 to 5 MB. But go back to the 1980s or 1990s, and possessing a computer with even 10 or 20 megabytes of storage felt almost futuristic. Hard drives of that size could hold entire software libraries, countless documents, and a full collection of digital music. It's amazing to realize that what once felt like limitless capacity is now surpassed by even the simplest digital image or short video clip. Next up is the gigabyte, or GB. A gigabyte equals 1024 megabytes, about 1 billion bytes. This unit is much more familiar to modern users. With just 1 GB of space, you could store roughly 600 photos, over 200 songs, or a full-length HD movie. In the early 2000s, a 20 GB hard drive was considered enormous. People proudly stored their entire music collections, downloaded games, and backed up personal files without worrying about running out of space. Today, however, even budget smartphones often come with 64 or 128 GB of storage, because apps, photos, videos, and operating systems have grown so large. A single video game or software suite can easily consume dozens of gigabytes. If we move one level higher, we reach the terabyte, or TB. 1 terabyte equals 1024 gigabytes, or 1 trillion bytes. This is where data storage starts to feel genuinely massive. A single terabyte can store around 250,000 songs, 2 million photos, or roughly 500 hours of HD video. Many personal computers today offer 1 TB or even 2 TB of built-in storage. External hard drives and cloud services provide terabyte-level plans for backing up entire digital lives, family photos, important documents, videos, and more. To put this into perspective, the entire text collection of the Library of Congress, one of the largest and most important libraries in the world, is estimated at roughly 10 terabytes. That means a stack of consumer hard drives could rival one of humanity's greatest information archives. Past terabytes, we enter the world of large-scale enterprise and scientific computing. The petabyte, or PB, equals 1024 terabytes. A single petabyte is so large that it could hold around 13 years of non-stop HD video. Companies like Netflix manage many petabytes of video content for streaming, ensuring that millions of users can access movies and shows instantly. Scientific institutions such as CERN, which studies particle physics, generate petabytes of data every year from experiments. A petabyte is big enough to hold more than 500 billion pages of plain text, far more than any single human being could ever read. Then comes the exabyte, or EB. 1 exabyte is 1024 petabytes, or 1 billion gigabytes. In 2001, researchers estimated that the entire internet contained about 5 exabytes of data. Today, humanity generates more than that amount in a matter of weeks, through social media uploads, video streaming, digital communications, and automated systems. 1 exabyte could store 1 trillion books, or around 250 million DVDs. Storing even a single exabyte requires enormous warehouses filled with servers running 24/7. These gigantic facilities are known as data centers, and they form the backbone of the digital world. Beyond exabytes lies the zettabyte, or ZB. 1 zettabyte equals 1024 exabytes, or roughly 1 trillion gigabytes. The scale becomes almost incomprehensible at this point. Global internet traffic in a single year now measures in zettabytes, In 2020, internet traffic reached nearly 4 zettabytes, representing every video streamed, message sent, app downloaded, and website accessed worldwide. A single zettabyte could store around 30 billion 4K movies. Even with the most advanced digital storage technologies available today, storing a full zettabyte would require an enormous number of data centers and staggering amounts of electrical power. Finally, we arrive at the yottabyte, or YB, the largest officially recognized unit of digital measurement. 1 yottabyte equals 1024 zettabytes. No existing technology on Earth today is capable of storing a full yottabyte. In fact, scientists estimate that a single yottabyte would require a data storage facility roughly the size of a small country. If such a system existed, it could hold every photo, document, video, and file ever created by humanity, with room to spare. Today, yottabytes serve more as a conceptual measurement of future data growth than a practical storage limit. But given the incredible pace at which global data is expanding, one day humanity may truly need to think in yottabytes. As we reach the end of this journey through the vast landscape of digital storage, it becomes clear that the evolution from bytes to yottabytes is far more than a list of numbers. It's a story of human progress, creativity, and the explosive growth of information in the modern age. These units are more than technical measurements. They reflect the changing needs of society, the rapid expansion of global communication, and the increasing complexity of the technologies we now rely on every day. Think back to the earliest days of computing, when a few kilobytes of memory were enough to run entire programs and video games. At that time, engineers and programmers worked under strict limitations, forced to optimize every line of code to make the most out of a tiny amount of storage. A single floppy disk holding less than 1 megabyte was considered a breakthrough. People carried them proudly, storing personal documents, school projects, and essential software on thin plastic squares that would now seem almost laughable in size. But those humble beginnings laid the foundation for everything that followed. Fast forward a few decades, and the world is completely different. We carry smartphones with dozens of gigabytes of storage, devices more powerful than entire rooms of computers from the past. We take high-resolution photos without thinking about their size. We download games that exceed 100 gigabytes and stream movies in stunning 4K quality. We expect information to be available instantly, no matter where we are, and we rarely stop to consider the monumental systems working behind the scenes to make it all possible. Beyond personal devices, this growth in data has transformed entire industries. Streaming platforms rely on petabytes of video to keep millions of viewers entertained. Scientific institutions collect exabytes of information to advance our understanding of the universe. The entire global internet generates zettabytes of traffic each year, a number so large that it's difficult to truly comprehend. And as we move into an era dominated by artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, smart cities, and the Internet of Things, the amount of data humanity produces will only accelerate. This brings us to the yottabyte, a measurement so massive that it exists mostly as a theoretical concept. No storage system today can hold a full yottabyte. To give you an idea of just how huge it is, imagine trying to store every piece of digital content ever created by humans. Every video, every photo, every message, every website, every book, every scientific dataset. A yottabyte could hold all of that and still have room left. The fact that we even have a word for something so massive shows how quickly technology is advancing and how big our future needs might become. But despite the incredible scale we've explored, one thing remains constant. Everything begins with that tiny fundamental unit, the byte. Every message, every picture, every piece of music, every line of code, and every memory stored digitally traces back to that smallest building block. The byte may be small, but when billions and trillions of them come together, they create the digital universe we live in. As we look ahead, it's clear that data will continue to shape our world in ways we're only beginning to understand. New technologies will require new levels of storage. New discoveries will generate new forms of information. And as we keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible, the units we discuss today may one day seem just as small and limited as kilobytes did to early computer pioneers. But no matter how far technology advances, remembering the journey from the humble byte to the mighty yottabyte helps us appreciate the extraordinary progress that has brought us here. It reminds us that digital technology didn't appear overnight. It grew step by step, unit by unit, driven by human curiosity and innovation. If this journey helped you understand data on a deeper level, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more clear and simple explanations of the technology shaping our everyday lives. Thank you for watching. And remember, the entire digital world begins with just one byte.